Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Chode, another one of the Starjammers figures, and this character was one of my favorite figures as a kid. It wasn't a particularly good figure back in the day, but the one that came out back then, I loved it. For whatever reason, I did. So when they announced that they were going to make Chode, and I've been asking them to make Chode for a long time, I was very, very excited. And then they showed the figure, and I was like, that's not Chode, that's Rhino and Abomination. And they were like, no, we put a new head on it and a belt. And I was like, I don't think that counts, but let's dive into it. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, so this guy stands roughly 7 3/4 inches, maybe 7 7/8. Depends on how you have his head set up. And that's gonna be just about 20 centimeters. Here he is up against Darwin. You could argue that scaling is fine. Now, the thing about Chode here is he's been drawn a few different ways. Technically, there is an image that they could be referencing, or a version of him, that they could be referencing, that allows him to not have the scaly legs. Why they look like Rhino's legs, the world may never know, other than Hasbro's a lazy crap company. But he does have like the Rhino skin in places, and that's super frustrating for me in a lot of places. And in other places, he has the Abomination parts. That is super frustrating. Here's one thing though, in all of the images of Chode that I could find, because I wanted to check, maybe there's one version I don't know about or something like that, he never has a tiny chest. This figure has a notoriously small chest. It's very small. His pecs are tiny, and every time I've seen Chode, his pecs are gigantic. So that throws off the look of the figure quite a lot, especially if you're going off of the image that has the non-scaly legs and this particular head. His chest is quite large. It almost always is, and at least it's decent size. This is tiny, weird size that's built for Rhino. It doesn't look right for Chode. Speaking of things that don't look right for Chode, he has 4 fingers on this figure. Chode has 3 fingers. They couldn't make new hands? Like, it's almost entirely reused parts, and they couldn't make new hands? They couldn't paint the toes yellow because Chode almost always has the yellow tips of his toes? It's just, their level of lazy is becoming absurd. And I'm tired of getting comments like, every time I see you review something, you're so negative. Well, stop watching reviews for crap figures then. Watch some of, expand your horizons. Try to buy a good figure from time to time. If the only world you know is Hasbro Marvel Legends, you should try to branch out just a little bit just to see what's out there. Just to see what's out there, then maybe you'll have a different appreciation for what Hasbro could be producing. Anyway, more on the aesthetic front. The greens don't even match. His torso and hips, these are hard plastic, and they're a totally different color. I don't know if that's showing up on camera. I think it is. The PVC legs and arms and shoulders, that's way more neon green. There's a big difference in finish. This part is shiny. This right here and this right here, those are shiny. These are all a nice flat finish. Much brighter green, darker green. That's irritating. The belt, it's fine. It's not like it's horribly painted, but they couldn't even get the gold on top of the buckle. Like, I could understand if they don't get the inside edges, but the top part or the bottom, they can't put any effort into it. What the heck? There's some shading scattered around. It's okay. It's pretty subtle. I don't think it's actually a great color choice. The greens don't really go together very well. So, it's, that's whatever. It's not a huge deal. Down here, it looks decent, but it's like, it's just so half-assed. So half-assed. Also, this body works for a couple characters. It's so blocky. Chode's not shaped like a brick. Like, ever. He's never shaped that way. He's had some different shapes, but he's never shaped like a brick. And that's mostly just because of this narrow chest and super wide waist, which Hasbro loves to do on all their characters. Now, the one good thing I can say is I think they did a really good job with the head sculpt, mostly. It's very accurate to that one image, which is fine if that's the one you want to use. I don't mind. That's good. I think it's one of their better head sculpts that they've done lately. Lots of nice detail in there, and it's painted pretty well with the black shading around the eyes. The teeth look decent. The lips, not as yellow as I would like, but they do have a little bit of a yellow paint job on there, so that's okay. They did a good job there, but then they did this. They gave him an articulated mouth, but they were like, you know what? Let's just not sculpt all the way through. Why? Why? Don't say, oh, because there's articulation. You can sculpt into articulation just fine. No problem at all. And they just decided, nah. So really, he has an articulated mouth that you can't open beyond that. So you can go from that to that, and that's all you can really use without it looking ridiculous. They're just so lazy, it's nuts. It's nuts. All right, so aesthetically speaking, 5 out of 10? They can't even get the number of fingers right. The only thing that's good about this figure really is the head. Okay, as far as accessories go, I can't remember this guy's name. You get the little white dude that on the old figure pegged onto his shoulder. On this figure, this guy is definitely sculpted to just stand on the floor. He has a little ball peg for a head, for a neck. But they showed the image of him sitting on Chode's shoulder, but he really can't, not in an effective way. It doesn't look right. It looks like he's just supposed to be on the floor, but he's actually sitting on his shoulder. So that's annoying. Like, they couldn't sculpt him to actually be on his shoulder. Lazy. So accessory-wise, 5 out of 10 again. All right, time for articulation, which isn't really going to be surprising because we've seen this all before, but I'll do it anyway because I care about you guys. All right, we have the hinge. That actually is okay the way they did that so that he can look up. That's fine. He can look down, though be aware of what it's going to look like. It's not the best thing in the world. Side to side, little bit of rotation this way. If you want to rotate it, otherwise he has to cock his head at an angle, so be aware of that. But there is some motion in there. Not a ton, but some. Shoulders, can't get up to horizontal. Full rotation, of course. Bicep swivel is fine. Single jointed elbow, less than 90 degrees. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. That's all pretty standard. Ab crunch on this guy. If we make sure the belt's out of the way as far as we can get it. Oh, the belt's not even in the way. Great. Ab crunch just doesn't go back very far. Pretty limited going back. Going forward. Did they make this worse somehow? I swear, there, I got it a little bit farther. Does lean forward well enough. It was like not wanting to go. Waist twist is okay. Hips going forward, they're fine. They're not particularly good. These rhino legs are not good legs. They don't go back. Going out to the side, we get a little bit better than 45. Thigh swivel is fine. This is still like, oh God. These legs, look at this. First of all, look how short the thigh is and look how long the shin is. No, nothing's built like that. Nothing ever that has a thigh and a shin. It's never like that. It's not mechanically sound for using legs. Anyway, look at that horrible knee joint. Goodness gracious. It's been bad since they designed it, and it's still just as bad. It's horrible. So lazy, so poorly designed. Ankles go all the way back. Decent forward and decent ankle rocker. Like, 5 out of 10 for articulation because there's so much on it that's not even good as it could be. Which is like Hasbro's slogan at this point. Somebody said that in the comments. Hasbro's slogan is it could have been better or something like that. Good comment. I need to start pinning comments again. I keep forgetting to do that. Anyway, this figure, am I happy they made Chode? Yes. Is this going to be okay enough to stick on a shelf and never look too close at? Yeah, I guess. But could it have been so much better? Absolutely. Hasbro never makes anything as good as they should. It's like they actively try, not just to save money, but to make things poorly. Because not everything that I'm saying, in fact, most things that I'm saying should be better, wouldn't cost more. Now this guy, I think they could have spent some money on actually and made him solid, like really good. Instead, we got a repaint of Rhino and Abomination with a new head. Very, very, very disappointed. Which is almost always the case. Not always, but almost always with Hasbro. I'm going to give this guy an overall rating of 5 out of 10. It's a spot filler that doesn't look horrible at first glance or at a distance, but if you care about the character Chode at all, this is not going to do it for you. So there it is, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and if you liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down will do, and if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day, and oh man, I just forgot. I just noticed and I forgot to mention it. Even this doesn't match because the PVC is so much brighter than this hard plastic. The colors are so off. Do you guys see that? They don't even try. Man, and I forgot where I was in my outro. So, thanks for watching. Keep collecting.